Hello humans. The human servitor that is creating this film for me, will now be reviewing the fan-animated film, Astartes. He says it has inspired him or whatever. If you dislike this review, please let me know in the comments, and I will destroy him. Thank you.
Hello everyone, and thank you Kaban for letting me do this.
You are welcome.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm the human flesh thing that's creating the Kaban.Machine fan film for Kaban, of course. I figured it's a good idea to review this particular film, Astartes, by Syama, apologies if I'm butchering the name, Pedersen, because this is the film that kind of put Warhammer 40,000 on my radar. Before this film, it kind of seemed like a silly tabletop game that other people play, and after watching this, I was just like, damn, there's some bad assery happening here, and I need some of that in my life. So around 70 books later, and I'm kind of reading through the Horus Heresy and realized there's a lot of really, really cool cinematic stuff happening here, and I need to get my claws into some of this. And I figured it would be a good idea to analyze and give my perspective on what it is that I feel makes this particular fan film great. My background is in storyboard and directing. I've been directing animation for about 10, 11 years now. Before that, I was a story artist. And my approach to analyzing film is more nuts and bolts, trying to understand what's the purpose of everything, is it achieving that purpose, yeah, let's get going. So I'm going to pause every now and then to talk about what we're seeing, because I don't really see a lot of value in just reacting live like these things. This film, there's a lot in it. A lot of it has been put together meticulously for years. So at the very least I can do is just pause and analyze the little bits and pieces that were painstakingly put together, and give my impression and my understanding of how these things work together, what was done very well, what was done maybe possibly less than perfect, but we can dive into that. So I understand that the Argosa uprisings, and this is all not canon stuff. This is like a made up. Sorry, bad word. This is a fan canon Astartes chapter, which is very, very cool. And let's get into this. So right away, establishing shot, ship. The ship, I mean, it looks really cool. I like the setting. I like the framing. Feels a bit toyish. The ship, the shapes are a bit basic and simple. Not hugely important, but just paying attention off the bat that I've seen Legion ships that look more gothic and impressive in design, but I guess this is easier to model in 3D, but it works. So I'm going to pause every second, apparently, because there's a lot going on. Just one more time. So what I like about this, and this is, I guess, the filmmakers' kind of particular style, this is how they like to do it. There's a lot of this type of shot happening in this film. This high over the shoulder, where the character or the object we're looking over the shoulder of is right smack in the center of the frame, and we're slightly looking above them and seeing over their head what they are looking at, like what's in front of them. Now the added value of this one, I imagine this will be the reason for choosing this particular camera angle, is to show the difference in scale between a space marine and a normal baseline human, which is pretty great to see, because in my opinion the biggest challenge in translating the Warhammer setting to film is the scale. There's so many different scales between baseline characters and the epic godlike characters, and it's really important that those differences are clear. And if you only have a film, say, with just Space Marines, then it's easy to kind of mistake the scale and think, I think it's all this regular humans that are just pretty wide. But no, these guys are walking refrigerators, like family industrial refrigerators, and to really get that scale across, you have to put them at some point next to regular humans, so that scale is clear. Another way to present the scale, but I guess this is not the choice of the filmmaker because they like this particular angle, is to have the camera more at the height of the human and seeing that Space Marine towering over them. I'll do a quick sketch right here, and that's kind of what I mean. But again, everything I'm going to suggest, I'm not saying this should have been done any differently. Yeah, quick disclosure, there's going to be a few things that I'm going to say that I feel could have done a bit more clearly. I'm not saying that should have been the case. Probably a lot of the things that are appealing to a lot of people about this film is some of its mystery. Maybe not everything needs to be super clear, but my perspective as a filmmaker is that I would like to communicate things very, very clearly. And if I don't understand a few things after watching this several times, then I will analyze why I feel that is not very clear. Again, not saying it should have been done any different. Obviously, I'm analyzing this. Obviously, I'm doing a film after being inspired by watching this film. So something here has worked really well, and I'm not saying it hasn't. So after all these rambling preambles, let's get going. So yes, I'm stopping again. The thing that I like very, very much and that works really well, especially in the first parts of this film, is the pacing. We start with like action, and then calmness. Then action, calmness. The pacing keeps shifting, and that keeps throwing us off and giving us a lot of an interesting rhythm to follow. It's kind of like music, right? If it's all the same beat, all the same rhythm all the time, it gets dull. This is not the case. We have like advancing momentum, then calmness, momentum, calmness, advance, momentum, calmness. Back to the corridor. Calmness. I like this detail that shows how religious those Space Marines are, or that feels like something you would see a priest do with this type of calm religious action. And again, back into action, they're going into their boarding pod, or I forgot how that's called. And again, you've noticed this over the shoulder, over the characters. We see this a lot. This is a favorite thing from the filmmaker, the favorite position of the camera. We see I guess these are the harnesses that kind of keep them in place while the pod is launching and the G-forces are going crazy. And this is another reason why I like this type of over-the-shoulder shot that we saw earlier also with the Space Marine in the corridor. It kind of gives us a way of seeing right what the characters are seeing, and this has a bit of a video game feel to it, but I feel like because of the blurriness of the foreground element, it kind of feels more cinematic than what you would normally see in a video game. It feels literally like we're riding this spaceship all the way to its target. Very nice depth, very nice feeling of objects passing through us, very cinematic. And in the distance we see the target, that big ship that's already in the midst of combat. I really like how these little drones kind of sacrifice themselves so the main ship would have a chance at getting to the target. And again, those blasts almost coming through us. And this is another one of those details where I've seen this for the first time and I'm just like, what is going on? What is this? Is the thing like a kamikaze plane committing suicide? No, but after reading the books, I understand this is how the boarding pod works, and these are like melter weapons burying through the hull of the ship. And at this point in the film, we kind of switching gears, and this becomes more of an action film type treatment to the film. And tension building. And then here, this is one of the things where unless you read the books, I don't think you'll know exactly right away what this is. Again, it's pretty cool. Do you have to know? Probably not. But this, my understanding is, this is the point of view from the helmet of the Astartes, the Space Marines, and this is what their like combat hood system makes them see, like enhances their perceptions, and they get to see the body heat signatures of all the people that are waiting for them. And my feeling is this could have been clearer if we had seen first a close-up of a Space Marine kind of observing, and then we cut to what they're seeing. This is a bit out of context in my view. Let's go back, see if I didn't miss anything here. So tension, we see smoke kind of falling from what I assume is the hole in the hull of the ship. Smoke, steam, and then we cut to the POV. Even if you had the helmet after, then I think this would have been clear. Not a deal breaker. It would have been clearer, but it still works. Maybe it adds mystery because you not fully understand what you're watching. That just my little comment there. And obviously one of the more badass shots of the film. You see them charging and just blasting away. And again, that over the head, over the shoulder type shot where you see over the characters and what they're seeing. Very, very, very cool. And I like how the camera kind of tracked their motion and joined them after. Very, very seamless. I don't pay attention to the camera. It's not diverting or taking me out of the story. Very, very natural and smooth. And about generally the structure here, the thing that really I think is very compelling is the momentum of these guys. They just don't stop. They're these killing machines that keep moving forward, and that I feel that even the latest cinematics that we've seen from Games Workshop, they haven't been able to convey exactly this type of awesomeness and power from the Space Marines. Now we're going into the bad guys. Now I suspect part of the reason why they have these ornate helmets is because making human skin in 3D is exceptionally challenging, or maybe it was more challenging when this was made. And but I also really like the solution where that texture on top of their helmets seems a bit like those Xenos or Chaos orbs that we're seeing later, so they seem to be associated with it. These are the Psychers, of course, and here we see one of them looking over the shoulder towards what would be the thing that they're guarding. Now for me, here, like, it's obvious that they're kind of, a lot of attention is going into specifically this location. This is something that they're guarding. This is maybe something that the Astartes want to get to. But for my money, it would be more effective if we understood a bit better the purpose of this. This looks like a huge boiler to me. after having watched it several times, of course I know this is like a safe door to a secure location, but if it had been more clear that this is like a safe, if the edges of the sphere here were more clearly resembling something that could open up, then I think possibly this would have been more interesting or clear. Again, possibly doesn't matter. Like, everybody gets it in the end. Just one of those small things that, if you had made it a bit clearer, I feel like the stakes or the feeling of what the mission is would have been a bit clearer, and people would have been even more invested. But as I said, obviously I'm here talking about it, so clearly it works. Tension building. And then we back to the Astartes charging into the fray. The battle is happening. They're blasting away, destroying fools in their own path. So this guy is like setting up an ambush for the Space Marines. He gets ready, he shoots, and they don't seem too impressed. And it kind of goes away here. Like, I don't really understand what happened to this guy. I guess he was shot to pieces. I'm just gonna look at that again. Yeah. The guy sets up the ambush. The Marines step into the trap. He shoots them, misses, or doesn't get through their armor. I guess that this last shot was, this last shot meant that the guy was annihilated. But I feel like there was a better or clearer way to show this. Like maybe there was just not enough time, or I don't know what. But I'm not clear what happened to this guy. Like, either show him getting shot to pieces, or suggest it a bit more clearly. Like, I didn't get what happened to him. It felt like I'm not understanding the events here. So now these are like vignettes of actions where the Marines are just blasting, destroying people, and a big fucking cannon thing. Oh, that's cool. Let me just pull back a bit. The big cannon is setting up another ambush there. So there, everything is clear. I've seen this human kind of trying to sneak up on the Space Marine in the previous shot. Here he gets stabbed. It's an interesting angle. The guy just goes limp, and the Space Marine looks badass. Here we are back into the big cannon ambush situation. Now here's another place where I wasn't super clear on what happened. Let me just go back here. So yeah, the guy got stabbed, and there's like baseline soldiers running here. I guess they are just the enemies running away from the Space Marines. But then why would the guy be shooting at them? Well, I guess that's Warhammer for you. Fair enough. Like, he's looking through his scope. They look like baseline human soldiers. The Space Marine goes up behind him. Was he going to shoot them in the back? I don't understand exactly what happened there. So I guess this time the guy is going to shoot at the Space Marine through the baseline soldiers, and this las blaster is not getting through the Space Marine's armor, but he still takes cover. Let me just watch that again, because there's a few things that are happening here that not super clear to me. It's all badass. I'll watch it over and over, but here, okay. So now I had to watch it very, very closely. The Space Marine threw the smoke grenade. That's why the smoke happened. Yeah, sorry if it's very clear to everybody else. To me, it wasn't. I feel like we needed to see him taking that grenade from his belt or something and then throw it for it to be extra clear. But I guess that's what he did to create a smoke screen so the sniper would not see him. He charges up his plasma caster, plasma pistol, and boom. Now here's another part where felt like it's slightly jarring to me. I mean, technically there's nothing wrong here, except that if you go back a bit, you see when the Space Marines charge, it's towards screen right, usually. From the moment they entered the ship, they're charging to screen right, and all the bad guys are attacking them towards screen left. Even here, this is where the sniper with the cannon, with the laser cannon, is waiting. He's waiting, aiming from screen right to screen left. Screen right, cannon is on screen right, and then the here is where the screen directions kind of become. No, it's still screen right. The guy is shooting still from screen right to screen left. Space Marine aiming to screen right. Still screen right. And then when he fires the plasma pistol, suddenly it goes in the opposite screen direction. Suddenly the shot goes from screen right to screen left. And it reverses. This is a bit jarring. I would have recommended to keep the screen direction throughout the whole assault consistent, so it would still make the advance of the Space Marines look like unstoppable. It's not a screen direction error because we had a neutral shot in between, but still, overall, felt like we could have been a bit more consistent. Now we're kind of resetting, going to the next location where the Psychers are. And again, they look badass. I'm not super sure what that spine thing is supposed to be doing. I have seen it in other GW animatics since. I suspect it is Syama's contribution or influence, but still looks badass. I like the sound of the footsteps advancing, the camera orbiting around these Psychers, tension rising, our guys in the darkness. Which, by the way, I think it's a very boss move to have CG scenes happening in the dark, because the dark hides a lot of imperfections and a lot of problems, which is kind of saves a lot of trouble later on. And if you can do it, I think, and it fits the mood, which here it definitely does, then it's a very, very good decision, I think, on the part of the filmmaker. And then they immediately go into action. This is pretty good. Again, massive. I'm not even commenting on anything of the production value and how slick everything looks like. Obviously, this is top notch. Not like this is not also my field, so I'm not going to comment on it. I'm more of a nuts and bolts guy, as I've said. Then we see the Psychers stopping the what are they called? The bolter rounds in midair, exploding them, and slowly the noose tightens around them. It's a very, very cool way of showing how even facing overwhelming foes, the Space Marines are unrelenting and strategic. Here, I just need to watch this one more time because I didn't understand what happened. The Psyker was doing something, and I suppose, yeah. So the Psyker is doing something here. He's building up power. He's building up power, and oh, now I get it. So this is a top view of the Space Marines, and the Psychers' force attack kind of pushed them back. All right, so this is a situation where that angle wasn't super clear and we didn't see them enough time to really register what they were. I mean, obviously, if you watch it enough time, you see it, but it's one of those things where I think a more clear angle and maybe possibly a bit more time made the action a bit clearer. Now I understand the Psyker has attacked these Space Marines and they were distracting him. What I like in general about this whole scenario is that the Space Marines are warring with the Psykers for their attention so that they can get to them. And it's a constant, unrelenting assault on the Psyker's attention. And this is the thing that makes this scene stand out to me. Uses the plasma and then throws it away. And he wants to go in close with a kill, but the Psyker has him. And we can really feel, this is top-notch animation, can really feel the forces clashing against each other. Yeah, they're attacking the Psykers from all angles. Here again, I've seen some kind of force attack from the Psyker. Let me just go back a bit. So I see one of the Space Marines again assaulting, again shooting at the Psykers. And then he gets blown up. Or, let me see this again. So here we have a Psyker. I guess it's a different Psyker, not the one holding the Space Marine. That's another one, and he's concentrating. And then there's a Space Marine shooting. I guess it's shooting at him. It's not very clear. Yeah, so I feel like this is another one of those things where if we had seen the Space Marine starting to shoot, the Psyker reacting, building energy while stopping the bullets again, and then firing or releasing his psychic energy, and then showing the Space Marine get hit, would have made this a bit more clear. I honestly, I love this film, but I do not understand what's happening here, and I feel like this could have been handled a bit more clearly. Doesn't damage the flow. It's just a detail. Let's carry on. And then we have another Space Marine kind of unsheathing his combat blade, and back to the Psyker, kind of applying pressure, but the Space Marine's will overcomes, and he almost has him, but the other Psyker comes to the aid and grabs the Space Marine, and both of them overwhelm him. But from the back, his brother shows up and boom. Disconnect. Boom. This is badass. And another reason why this is working so well, they don't stop to admire their work, they just keep going. And now I understand this is the vault, or this is where they're headed next. And let's keep going. So here is a different location. This looks like a different ship to the one we've seen in the beginning. There's more ships around it. And we see a video feed from the first Space Marines to a second location with different Space Marines. And here we see a Xenosphere tied up, I guess captured and under surveillance of some sort. And this guy seems to be some kind of an Imperial wizard, inquisitor, possibly a Mechanicum adept. Forgive me, I'm not super versed with all the iconography. So their tension is building. We want to understand what this sphere is. And here we have a clever way of identifying that one Space Marine that attacked first, because his eye lens was broken in the combat. Now, to those of you that follow closely the novels and the games, you know that frost, unexplained frost, is a sign of warp treachery, which what these guys are stepping into. Lots of really cool, mysterious imagery happening here. This unfinished, huge golem of some sort. This mechanical man. Are they building an AI of some sort? I'm a fan of those. I don't know, but mysterious. But they pass through it. Obviously, there's something more, even more sinister they want to get to, which is cool. So another hovering sphere here. Yeah, very cool. So this is another battle of wills that's about to happen. Yeah, Astartes. Yeah. And again, they don't stop even at the face of resistance. They just push through. Badass. Very nice angle. We can really feel that push and pull of forces, and they go in. Now, I'm not sure what they wanted to do with this thing. I guess they wanted to just take it into custody. As I said, the texture on the sphere seems similar to the ones on the faces of the Psychers, which is a cool way of making a connection between them. Somehow they're associated. I guess these are supposed to be like carrying handles, where they were going to carry this sphere and into custody. And something's happening on the sphere. What is it? I don't know. Something's happening, but it's interesting. It's mysterious. At this point, the movie has kind of earned, like, making some vague things happen and making us want to figure out what is going on. So the other sphere here also starts to react, and from the point of view of the Imperial Adept or Inquisitor, we see that the spheres are connected in some way. They're communicating, and it sounds very demonic and possibly corrupting the human. You must take them, and then we see like some kind of a shift happening. They're very quick to respond. A command is given, and some kind of an inner struggle with the human, and then literally a little snap of energy, and the human gets up. That's a cool little way of showing what happened. Like here, the human dropped their chain, which is, I guess, it's a symbolic action to show that they've been broken. Their faith has been broken, because that seems to be like an object of faith that suddenly he has allowed to slip through his fingers. The Space Marines see this, so and then he's twitching. So obviously something is wrong. Tension building. What is wrong with the guy? These are moments of snapshots from that realm beyond, which to me seems like a realm of chaos. And of course, extreme prejudice for all warp corruption. The guy had to be put down. And here, I don't know what they were waiting for, but suddenly a chaos entity appears and they get sucked in. And I know a lot of people have their own interpretation of what is happening, why they're doing what they're doing. It is obviously they're getting sucked in and they're trying to resist. But the thing is overwhelming them. Even the plasma bolt is not doing anything. It immediately heals itself, but the Space Marine is now short an arm. And I like how the screen gets darker to mimic the perception of the Space Marine getting sucked in. That's very cool. And we are traveling, I guess, in some sort of other dimension, possibly the warp. A tentacle is linking all these Space Marines. This space entity, this warp entity has them. And we are not unsure now where we are. Is this the warp? Is this another planet? Is this another dimension? It's cool to see how the Space Marine immediately gets it together. That mental fortitude that the Emperor has gifted all his sons, all his angels. And this is another enigmatic, ominous place with all these skeletons up in the walls, getting sucked into the walls, much like the Space Marines were sucked into the sphere. What are these entities? Are they physically really that big? That's why I think this is the warp, because the scale kind of has no meaning there. And there we go, Astartes. Yeah, so thank you very much for listening all the way through. I hope this has been...
Don't forget to tell them to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yes, I won't. Oh, Jesus.
What did you say?
Nothing.
I don't think you appreciate the opportunity I'm giving you here.
I do. Oh my God, I do, please. I do.
I'm not convinced by your sincerity.
Please like, comment, and subscribe. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Better. Now go back to drawing. My movie is not going to make itself.
Yes, boss. Yes. Still better than working for Disney.